Hello everyone, welcome back. Today is going to be a part 2 of our vocal tension video. It's going to be kind of a quick video, but I wanted to address 3 more ways that vocal tension can manifest and what to do about it. So in the first video, we talked about some of the outward signs of tension, stress response, tight shoulders, tight jaw, but I wanted to explain 3 more ways that you can experience tension. The very first being breathing. We've talked about breathing before and how it needs to be very low underneath the diaphragm. And I find that a lot of beginning singers struggle with reverse breathing or chest breathing. So with chest breathing, we're not breathing low enough into the belly. And sometimes as they're getting the grasp of how to actually put the air lower, it'll go into reverse breathing. And I see this a lot of times in my female singers because they're used to walking around throughout the day with that core nice and tight. And so when they take a breath in, their stomach actually goes in. And when they breathe out, their stomach goes out. And it needs to be the opposite of that. We need to expand our bellies low when we take a breath in and then use that force of the contraction of the core like a light crunch to expel the air. That's where we get our power from. So a lot of times with chest breathing in particular, you'll notice that the shoulders raise here and then everything kind of gets tight because it's a very shallow breath, which then causes the crunch down here and the raise of the larynx. So the very first sign of tension could be chest breathing that's causing everything here to kind of pull down. So I would say first check your breathing, try to recenter and make sure that it's nice and low. The second thing that happens right above that as a result could be that your larynx is raised. And when we get a raised larynx, we get a very high, bright, thin sound. We want to have a neutral larynx right here where it's almost like the beginning of a yawn feeling. So sometimes I'll actually have my students in warm-ups think like they're in the beginning of a yawn. We don't want it to be so dramatic that it's like the very end of a yawn. We don't want it to be that low, but the very beginning of a yawn, whenever this lowers and goes back to its neutral position, is what we're after. So then the third area of tension often happens in the tongue. So the tongue can tend to raise in the very back and close up that space in the back of the throat so that there's no freedom of movement, there's no freedom of sound. And then it causes all this other tension right in here. And that's sometimes where you feel strain whenever you're singing. So a very fun exercise that we do in the studio, which the students absolutely love, is taking a spoon to where the curved side is facing outward. You'll place the spoon in the middle of the tongue and gently press down. Not so hard as to completely limit the movement of the tongue. We want a little freedom of movement. You'll feel it kind of fighting against the spoon as you're talking. And then we'll sing either a warm-up or we will sing sometimes an entire song all the way through with that spoon pressed down on the tongue so that we can learn that mind to muscle connection of how to call on the tongue and lower it, because a neutral tongue should be almost in a cradle-like position. So sometimes I will tell my students, go home, practice with the spoon all the way through the song, then sing the song without the spoon but on a very, very lazy vowel where everything even in your jaw is very relaxed so that you can mentally kind of relax those things. And then as you get used to that feeling, add back in some of the vowels and a little bit more of the enunciation and the consonants. So I hope that helps. Those are 3 other ways that vocal tension can manifest and how to combat it. As always, visit GabrielleStudioofMusic.com for the latest tips and tricks on training your voice. See you there!